Do you want to talk about grooming and how this uh,
Mhm.
the process that the traffickers will use in order to maybe convince somebody that they are there willing?
Yeah. So yeah, with grooming, what that can look like is we all have basic needs as a human being. So some of us might be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These are things like what you might need to survive. So food, shelter, your clothing. But then as you progress, we all have needs, whether that's having a sense of belonging or feeling, that love and all of that. And so a trafficker, ultimately, what they're trying to do in their recruitment and grooming process is they are looking for vulnerabilities that a person has. And so you could have different risk factors that might make somebody vulnerable. Those could be things like a person who's living in poverty, maybe they've recently relocated, or they're runaway youth, or they're utilizing substances, or maybe their caregiver is. These are all things that could be the risk factors. And so essentially then, if somebody has a window of vulnerability in their life, a trafficker they are what we call master manipulators. They can pick up on that vulnerability very easily. And so they will then work to prey upon that. And so what we have to keep in mind is a trafficker is trying to make as much money as possible. They don't want to be recognized. And so if they can manipulate somebody to get what they want, and they can do it well without a person raising the alarm, well, then they're getting what they want. And so we're looking at instances where a person is being groomed, whether that is maybe they're having their basic needs met and they're offered a place to live, and they're told, hey, you can live here. I know you were about to be evicted from your apartment. Times are tough. Don't worry, come and stay. And then suddenly that person a few weeks later has to pay $500 for their free stay that they were supposed to have. Well, obviously they don't have the money for that. And then suddenly, well, hey, you can pay another way. And here's how you're going to do that. Or grooming could look like elaborate gifts and trips and things like that. Maybe that speaks more to the person they're trying to victimize. And so traffickers will follow through. Those first during that grooming phase, they're following through. They are the kindest person. They're nice. They're giving nice gifts. They're giving the best potential job that a person can have. And then they bait the person through that. They're isolating them in the process, and then they start to it might start small. They're asking little things of this individual until it grows bigger and bigger, and then they might use things like blackmail, threats, violence, and that person is then under the control of that trafficker.